sin to be rich, but it's a low-down shame to be poor. You know it's a sin to be rich. It's a low-down shame to be poor. You know a rich man ain't got a chance to go to heaven, and a poor man got a hard way to go. You know I don't want to be rich. I just want to stay between rich and poor. You know I don't want to be rich. I just want to live between rich and poor. Yeah, when I die, you know I want to go to heaven. That's when Paul Lightning will have a chance to go. Man to blow that trumpet, you know what? Wants to beat her when he blows. Well, he's gonna be the next man to blow that trumpet. I want to be there when poor Gabriel blows. Whoa, that's when the world be off with the people, and I can lay there and rest for sure.
Morning. Welcome to First Parish in Needham, a Unitarian Universalist congregation of humanists, theists, atheists, agnostics, seekers, and interfaith families. My name is Tracy Zinner, and I use the pronouns she, her, hers. You can learn more about what's going on and happening at First Parish by going to our website, uuneedham.org, and signing up for our newsletter, or by following us on social media. Our order of service is online too at the QR code in your pews and at the website uuneedham.updates.church. And please speak with our ushers, greeters, or Zoom hosts if you have questions or accessibility needs. Today, Mother's Day, I ask you to remember that true mothering involves fierce love, intense connection, and provision of comfort and guidance. There are many ways to be a mother, many individuals who are mothers. It does not require a biologic or gender prescriptive identity or relationship. In its ideal form, motherhood is a sacred covenant. A cornerstone of this ideal is reproductive justice, the human right to have children, to not have children, and to parent the children we have in safe and sustainable communities. Without choice and access to safe care, the fundamental covenantal relationship of motherhood is broken. I speak to you today as a member of the Reproductive Justice Task Force, and I want to highlight two things that are going on in our community. One is please keep your eyes open in the bell notes and announcements for a very incredible Lane Lyceum that is either going to be on Tuesday the 23rd or the 30th. of May, and it's involving two incredible reproductive justice advocates, Amy Littlefield from Needham, who is a local writer and reproductive justice correspondent for The Nation, is going to be interviewing Reverend Erica Forbes, who is the founder of the Tubman Project, which is a group that's providing safe travel for women in Texas to New Mexico to have terminations and providing them safe travel back, as well as a recovery space. And then the second thing is that I'll have a table out in social hour to tell you all information about a local abortion providing group called Women's Health Services that's in Brookline that's been providing care for women at lower cost than what they can get in hospital settings for the last 30 years. And they have an Amazon wish list. I'll have my computer up as they're taking donations to help support patients after care, as well as transportation. We are seeing a lot more people in Massachusetts that are coming from surrounding communities, even communities where access to reproductive care is fully open. There's not many providers now who are providing the procedures. So we are seeing people from Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire. So back to hearing a little bit more about our community. We covenant at First Parish to live our shared values of the inherent worth and dignity of every person, respecting the earth and co-creating beloved community. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whether your background or identity, whatever your age or stage, whether you walked or rolled in, wherever you're participating from, whether it's here or online, you are welcome here, and we're so glad to see you.
Thank you, Tracy. As we light our chalice, symbol of our shared faith, we read responsively words from 19th century Euro-American Unitarian author and activist Julia Ward Howe. She was an advocate for the end of slavery, the women's right to vote, prison reform, and international peace. Her Mother's Day proclamation was part of her efforts in the late 1800s to establish a permanent Mother's Day holiday that would be celebrated with efforts for peace. We acknowledge this reading from 150 years ago assumes a gender binary and normative heterosexuality, and we affirm that our theology has evolved since that time. As our ministerial intern, Dara Bryans, and many other First Parishioners participate in the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute's Mother's Day Walk for Peace in Boston right at this moment, we remember our ancestor Julia Ward Howe and her dream of world peace on this Mother's Day. For the responsive reading, you'll see it up on the screen and at number 573 in the back of your gray hymnals. I'll read the plain type, and you'll respond with Laura to the italicized type. Arise then, women of this day.
Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of fears.
Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies.
Husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses or applause.
Our sons will not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience.
We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs.
From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm.
The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession.
As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of counsel.
Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead.
Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as the means whereby the great human family can live in peace.
And each bearing after her own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God.
Still holding in our hearts our fellow first parishioners who are marching in the Mother's Day Walk for Peace this very moment, let us sing together our opening hymn, We Give Thanks, written by Unitarian Euro-Canadian singer-songwriter and minister Reverend Wendy Luella Perkins. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing We Give Thanks twice through. The lyrics are in your orders of service and at number 1010 in your teal hymnals.
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of a congregation strives to honor with one another and out in the world. Whether we participate in our community, online, or in the building, we strive to live these promises every day. Please say along with me the words of our parish covenant as in your orders of service. We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world.
I'm sorry to share that our religious educator, Sarah Elizabeth, has been quite ill with a head cold all week and can't be here this morning. And so, Sarah Elizabeth gave Laura and I the script for and instructions for today's Time for All Ages, and our great youth group member, Alexis, is available for anyone who might need nursery care support. Please wish us all luck today, as we don't entirely wing it, just a little bit. We're wing it. Oh, it's gonna, oh, you'll see. Our Time for All Ages on this Mother's Day morning is a classic story that many of us may be familiar with. Are You My Mother? By Euro-American author and illustrator P.D. Eastman. This story is about a baby bird who needs to find their way home. And do we have anyone willing to be a baby bird to help me tell the story? Well, good. Let's get started. A mother bird was sitting on an egg, and the egg jumped. Oh my baby will be here and they will want something to eat. I must get something for my baby bird to eat. I'll be back. So away the mother bird went, and then the egg jumped and jumped and jumped and jumped, and out came, pop, a baby bird. It's not gonna fit, it's, yeah.
Where is my mother?
The baby bird looked for their mother. They looked up, and they did not see her. They looked down, and they did not see her. So down and out of the tree they went. The baby bird could not fly, but they could walk.
Now I will go and find my mother.
The baby bird did not know what their mother looked like. They had just popped out of the egg, and accidentally went right by her. But eventually, they came to a kitten.
Are you my mother?
The kitten just stared at them, not saying a thing.
Wait, really?
The kitten was not their mother, so the baby bird kept on. Then the baby bird came across a monkey.
Are you my mother?
Nope. The monkey was not their mother, so the baby bird kept walking on.
Wait, seriously? Oh, okay. I have got to find my mother, but where is she? Where could she be?
Then the baby bird came across a dog.
Ooh, are you my mother?
No.
Rude.
The dog was not their mother, so they kept walking until they came across a truck. Go on.
You have got to be kidding me. This is how the story goes? Does P.D. Eastman just have me wandering around with no help for this entire book?
Yeah, exactly. But eventually you find your mother. Sure, it's by accident, not because anybody helped you, but you still find her. Does that make it better?
No, it does not make it better. How would that make it better? Why didn't the kitten say anything to me? Why didn't the monkey ask me any more questions? Dogs have excellent olfactory skills. Why isn't the dog helping me track my mother?
Look, I'm just telling you what happens in the book. It's a classic. If a baby asked you if you were their mother, would you not simply say no and walk away? Obviously.
What if the dog helped me, find my mom?
I mean, that's not how the story goes, but I guess she could.
Dog?
Back!
I just saw myself in the monitor. You have such a loving mom energy that makes me feel safe. Can you help me find my mother?
Yeah, of course, because I'm not terrible.
Okay, well, this is different than the script. So the dog took the baby bird and that began to help them search all around for their mother. The baby bird was so happy to feel safe and protected by a grown-up in their life. Maybe this dog wasn't their mother or even somebody else's mother, but she was certainly taking care of the baby bird now.
As one should when a baby is lost.
The dog, who luckily had spent many years enjoying watching the birds in her yard and who did have excellent olfactory skills, spotted what she knew to be a nest. And in the nest was a very worried mama bird. The dog took the baby bird right to their nest.
Are you my mother?
Yes, I was so worried about you. Did this wonderful dog help you?
Yeah, eventually.
And everyone was so happy to be back together, and the mama bird was so grateful to her neighbors that they helped their baby find their way home. Moms do come in many different ways. Oh, yeah, I'll take him back, thank you. But surely we all have people in our lives who show us what it means to be nurtured and loved. Our communities are full of mothers and others who care for us. Sometimes we are the baby bird, confused and lost and needing help. Other times we're the mama bird, overwhelmed and scared and needing some help. And there are other times when we have the choice to be the unhelpful animals or, under duress, the helpful dog, showing up for our neighbors in need. May we always remember as we widen our circle that we strengthen our community with love. Here ends our story. So because we didn't get any volunteers to take over our read, everybody's just going to stay here unless we have any babies. I don't see any babies going down. So I think we're going to go. If you want to just play a tune. We'll go right into sharing joys and concerns. See you down there in a second. This is the time during our worship service when we share joys and concerns that are very close to our hearts and to our lives. Our ministerial intern, Dara Bryans, is receiving pre-submitted candles at uuneedham.org by the Friday before the service at midnight. And if you're watching on Zoom or YouTube Live, you may type your candle into the chat box to be held by the community watching the service with you now. Our first pre-submitted candle comes from the First Parish staff team, offering a candle of hope on this Mother's Day for local and international peace. This candle asks the congregation to pray and act for peace building and an end to violence in Greater Boston, the United States, and around the world where peace has remained elusive, including in Ukraine, Yemen, Haiti, Ireland, Armenia, Myanmar, Ethiopia, Syria, Somalia, and Colombia. And a candle of sorrow and grief from my family. I'm Reverend Katie, she, hers. One of my husband Cole's cousins, Anne, has been wrestling with addiction for over a decade, and she died on Friday at age 32. Please keep Cole's family and all of Anne's loved ones in your hearts and prayers, especially Anne's mother, our Aunt Sandy, who lost a child just days before Mother's Day. I know she's not alone in her grief this Mother's Day. Now, if you are in the building and have a joy or concern to share, I invite you to come forward and light a candle, and then state your name, your pronouns, and share with us briefly what is on your heart.
Hi, I'm Dave Blum. Wendy and I wanted to share with you that we lost a very dear friend last week, Deborah Baldwin. John and Deborah were members of this church for many years. John was a former president. Deborah died after a long bout with cancer at home with hospice care. And we're very sad about missing her. Her kids were around and participated in it all. And anyway, so I hope you can keep her in your prayers and the Baldwin family. Thank you.
I'm George Rapolt, and I know that a candle has already been lit for my wife, Tabby, but I need to light one too, to commemorate her death and life.
And now for all the joys and sorrows that we still hold in our hearts, and for the prayers of our neighbors near and far, we light a final silent candle. May the peace of this sanctuary be felt too wherever you are participating from, as we remember that even though we are worshiping in different times and places, we are still deeply connected. Will you join me now in the spirit of prayer and meditation? On this Mother's Day, let us pray these words from Queer UU Minister of Color, Reverend Linda Susan Ulrich. Spirit of life and love, whom we know by many names and through many ways. For all the mothers and mother figures, the grandmothers, aunts, and extended family members who mother, the soon-to-be mothers, the wish they were mothers, the never wanted to be mothers, the it's complicated mothers, the birth mothers, foster mothers, adoptive mothers, stepmothers, the used-to-be dad mothers, the more than one mom mothers, the single mothers, separated mothers, stay-at-home mothers, unhoused mothers, the grieving mothers, those who grieve their mothers, and those whose grief is complex. For all the communities that mother and for all who depend on you, the great mother. You are held, and you are beloved. All of you are beloved. Amen. Please remain seated and join in singing our meditative response, Circle Round for Freedom. The lyrics are in your orders of service and at number 115 in your gray hymnals. This congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. This is the time in our service when we, the modern stewards of the church, offer what we can to build and sustain this congregation and the world we envision. For the month of May, our congregation is sharing our collection 50-50 with the Needham Diversity Initiative. The Needham Diversity Initiative is a local volunteer-run nonprofit whose mission is to create a more welcoming town. Their goal is to explore, foster, strengthen, and celebrate Needham's diversity of race, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, ethnic identity, socioeconomic status, ability, and age. They organize and co-sponsor many events every year, including Needham's annual Diversity Summit, Martin Luther King Day celebration, and Race Amity Day. To donate to today's offering, you can use one of 3 different methods as described in detail in your orders of service: through text to give, through our website, uuneedham.org, and dropping a cash or a check in the collection plate or mailing it to First Parish. Whichever way you donate, please remember to specify whether your donation is meant for the plate collection or for your annual pledge. And if this is one of your first visits to First Parish, we also encourage you to fill out a yellow card in your pew back to drop in the collection plate or to fill out our online visitors form at uuneedham.updates.church. Thank you for everything you are able to give to help support and sustain this congregation and the vital work of our community partners. And many thanks to our 2 flower donors today, Cece and George Ganacanto and their family, in memory of Cece's mother on her birthday, and from Mary Lou Manzin in memory of her son and husband. May the ushers now please come forward. Our reading this morning comes from queer Black writer, activist, and educator Dr. Alexis Pauline Gumbs. This excerpt is from the last chapter of her book, Undrowned, Black Feminist Lessons from Marine Mammals. She writes, in 2016, Scientific Reports published a study about Indo-Pacific dolphin other-mothering, foster parenting, and adoption, or what they call allomaternal behavior. This is not rare. As the authors of the study point out, mothering by other than gestational mothers happens in every major mammalian taxon. It is that crucial. The adoptive dolphin mother they studied also lactated to feed the calf whose gestational mother had died. Why, the authors of the study wonder, do mammals do this when, as they put it, the behavior is costly? To them, it is unclear why an animal would invest its resources in this manner. Does it seem unclear to you? Who has not been mothered by someone genetically and socially distant from your birth situation at some necessary time? And if you have ever shared something, taught someone, shared responsibility for someone's wellness for even part of their journey, how would you measure what you gained from that potentially costly behavior? We call it love. Here ends our reading. Euro-American psychologist and professor Dr. Tanya Lombroso shared a personal story with National Public Radio, a story that may sound familiar to anyone in the orbit of a working parent. A few weeks ago, she wrote, I flew to Los Angeles to participate in a conference related to my work. As a mother with 2 young children, I was only able to do so thanks to a special team of helpers. My parents picked us up at the LA airport with an extra car seat. A local aunt and uncles scoped out fun activities in Santa Monica to entertain my 3-year-old, and my mother chased said 3-year-old through said activities. My husband strolled the nursing baby around the conference center while I delivered a talk. And even before the conference, there were the preschool teachers and babysitters who made it possible for me to prepare a talk, let alone conduct the research it included. Lombroso wrote that while many would consider this situation very modern, it is in fact very much not. Well, in the dominant American culture, if we pretend and legislate as though all families are comprised of one working parent, stereotypically a father, and one stay-at-home parent, stereotypically a mother, available to parent their children in a single family home at all times, this is not how most societies in the world function, nor how many other social animals function. In 2020, Pew Research published a study that showed that around the world, extended family household arrangements are the most common, accounting for 38% of all people, followed by 2-parent households, which account for 33% of the world's population. With town meeting creating new opportunities for accessory dwelling units, I suppose Needham can now more easily join the global majority-minority of multi-generational households. And as you may know, most other developed nations, and many others, offer upwards of 2 years of governmentally subsidized paid parental leave and then subsidized low-cost daycare, preschool, and after-school care, but I digress. As we were asked in our reading, who has not been mothered by someone genetically and socially distant from your birth situation at some necessary time? In biology and sociology scholarship, allomaternalism and alloparentalism refers to any care typically offered by a biological parent, which is instead directed toward a non-descendant young, as in care for a younger sibling or a nibling or a cousin, a grandchild. Joint brood care, the scientific term for babysitting, and cooperative breeding are present in many social animals, especially mammals. As we heard from Dr. Gums, dolphins sometimes adopt orphaned calves and often form nursery groups. And alloparental behavior is also seen in jackals and wild dogs, bats and starlings, bees and ants, and in 75% of all primate species. When a biological parent is busy or has died, other parents swoop in to monitor the collective young and make sure they're fed and safe from predators. Retired Euro-American anthropologist and primatologist Dr. Sarah Blaffer Hardy's research has been in part learning about motherhood in surviving traditional cultures. Hardy shared that in a Central African tribe, the Fa, by 3 weeks of age, the babies are in contact with allomothers 40% of the time. By 18 weeks, infants actually spend more time with their allomothers than with their gestational mothers. And on average, FA babies have 14 different caretakers. Hardy has also posited that our species, Homo sapiens, could not have evolved from prior ancestors without alloparental support. Dr. Hardy wrote, as the slow-maturing children in the genus Homo became costlier to rear, it's allomothers who made our species feasible. It's not just mothers or their charges who should thank them, we all should. Well, in non-human species, alloparentalism is usually only present among relatives. The social networks of our social species are much wider, including neighborhoods, houses of worship, and other community institutions. Black Christian theologian and university administrator, Reverend Dr. Robert Franklin, wondered how liberation-minded individuals, communities, and anchor institutions could do a better job at people making, at child making, in pursuit of beloved community. He wrote, "Neighborhoods become villages when all of the adults step up to show care and concern for all of the children. Villages need real grown-ups. The hard and slow work of healing and reconciling broken people and fractured relationships that will in turn restore larger institutions must begin with these neighborhood grown-ups, no matter their age." In fact, for some, the allo-parenting received is more nurturing and restorative than the bio-parenting received. Marginalized human communities that have faced displacement, violence, and genocide from dominant social groups have in particular relied on collective and extended parenting to help save culture and lives. Indigenous elders circumventing bans on language and religious ceremony to pass on tradition to their great-grandchildren, enslaved Africans maintaining strong community networks when biological families were forcibly broken, neighbors and strangers hiding targeted children and families from Nazis, less recent immigrants shepherding more recent immigrants, LGBTQ adults volunteering with LGBTQ youth. As Dr. Gumbs wrote, "Why would an animal invest resources in this manner in these costly behaviors?" We call it love. As a community of faith, we First Parishioners covenant to live our beliefs through action and care for our world. We are challenged to live into our principles that every person has inherent worth and dignity, that every relationship should be maintained with justice, equity, and compassion, and that globally there should be peace and liberty for all. Every small act of alloparentalism, of supporting our young people with their basic needs and helping restructure society so every person and family structure can thrive, even a small action makes a positive difference. That can look like advocating for more family-friendly and kid-centered governmental policies, or donating to organizations like the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute, or treating the teenagers bagging groceries at Sudbury or working as a barista with kindness, or volunteering here at your church as a coming-of-age mentor or children's religious exploration expert, or when you say yes when we dedicate a baby into the care of this congregation. Perhaps you read the sweet story in the Boston Globe this week from local graduate student Michael Nelson, whose moms split up when he was young. His single bio mom was so accustomed to raising him solo that she was worried about him going off to college far away. So she called school representatives repeatedly before he arrived. Nelson wrote that some kind-hearted administrators and local alum took him under their wings, a squad of surrogate moms who ended up being the only parents at his graduation 4 years later, after his bio mom died of cancer. She didn't have insurance. They only caught it at stage 4. He said, "When my mom passed away a few months before my graduation, I might have felt completely alone. But I had a family with me. With diploma in hand, I waved at the group, all the moms who had come out to celebrate that milestone. These moms changed my life." Each of us has and can serve as allo parents, offering others a nurturing, respectful presence. One last story. Our national denomination, the Unitarian Universalist Association, recently published a short essay from Euro-American UU minister Reverend Joanna Fontaine Crawford, who serves one of our congregations in Austin, Texas. She shared this: "There was a single mother in our congregation who had 2 young children, a daughter and a son. Seeing the painted fingernails of his mom and sister, the little boy wanted to join in on the fun. Oh, how he loved having painted fingernails. He waved his hands around, giggling with happiness. He loved experimenting with different colors. And his delight was cut short when he began being bullied at school. His mother shared what was happening with friends at church. Somehow, the word got out to the men in the church. And the following Sunday, men of all ages showed up at our church with painted fingernails. Teenagers, business types, old men. Some even brought bottles of polish so that men who hadn't heard the news could paint their fingernails too. The little boy's face when he saw that, his mouth was an O of wonder. His eyes were lit up with joy. Mine were too. It was one of the most loving things I'd ever seen. I have no idea what I preached on that day. It didn't matter, because the most powerful sermon was happening that day out in the fellowship hall with Sally Hansen mauve over polish. That night, the little boy asked his mother about all those boys who had painted their fingernails. They're Unitarian Universalists, she told him. Are we Unitarian Universalists, he asked. Well, I am, she said. He thought about it for several minutes. I'm one too, he decided. Reverend Fontaine Crawford concludes, in many of our congregations, we carefully craft curricula to teach the values of our faith. But sometimes the lessons simply appear. That Sunday, all ages learned about nurturance, masculinity, the alternative and antidote to toxic masculinity. We learned a new way of being an intentional intergenerational village, raising a child. And it all flowed from compassion, wanting to give a little boy the message that his authentic self is beautiful and is worthy of being imitated, even by people much older than he. We are the hands and feet of love, and sometimes it's fingernails, too. Oh, what a gift to be loved by your village, like that little boy was. And what a gift to offer such love that grows our hearts and waters the seeds of joy and authenticity in another. I hope that in this sermon and this service and all of our interactions with one another in this faith community, that no matter what kind of parenting or allo-parenting you've offered or received, you know that you have inherent worth and dignity, no less or more than anyone else who received or offered a different sort of parenting or allo-parenting. I hope we each instead feel a welling up of gratitude, an amazement for the interconnected web of all those who invested in our lives, biologically related or not. And I hope we feel a welling up of responsibility for our village, for our neighbors, to share from the gifts we have been given. There's no time like the present to offer thanks for someone else's love and to practice a new habit of giving love more freely than before. I'll close with this gratitude from Dr. Gumb's book, Undrowned. Many mammals model what we call revolutionary mothering, not only feminists of color and dolphins off the coast of Japan. I see you. I celebrate your animal investments, your keen adaptation, your offerings of faith, your mothering in moments, months, and over lifetimes. You don't know how it is coming back to you. You know better than all that. You simply want us to exist. Thank you for loving us to excess. Thank you for being willing to waste so much time in all this wonder. And for those who wake the wild, the mothering, willing, worthwhile child in us as well, you'll never know how great the gift, how deep the well, how well you mammal us. We give thanks to all our parents and allo-parents who have loved and mammal us well. Blessed be, and amen. Our closing hymn, Just As Long As I Have Breath, was written by Euro-American UU singer-songwriter Alicia Carpenter. The composer who revised the hymn's harmony, John Edwin Giles, was a prolific composer and the music director of the UU congregation in Evanston, Illinois. Giles was one of many young gay men who we lost to the HIV/AIDS epidemic in the late 20th century. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing Just As Long As I Have Breath. The lyrics are in your orders of service and at number 6 in your gray hymnals. As we near the close of our service, I'd like to highlight for you some upcoming special events here at First Parish. During in-building social hour today, you can talk with Tracy Zinner about donating gift cards and care items to Brookline Women's Health Services, and all the information about how to participate is published in our e-newsletter, the Bell Notes, as well. Our Reproductive Justice Task Force has also partnered with our Continuing Education Committee to offer an amazing lyceum about faith and abortion access that will either be as scheduled next Tuesday, the 23rd, or if one of our presenters needs to bump it to the next week, on the 30th. We also have our regular weekly Zoom spiritual practice groups meeting on Thursday and Friday, Writing Escape Vespers, Meditation Ministry, and Creative Escapes. And next Sunday is a very special one. Laura Nevitt will be bringing together our adult choir and a chamber orchestra for Music Sunday, and you won't want to miss it. And then, if you are here in the building, you'll be treated to a lunch from the parish committee. Oh, that's so nice. It has the gentle expectation, though, that after the lunch, you'll stick around for our annual meeting. All are welcome at annual meeting, both here in the sanctuary and through Zoom. The only signed First Parish members are able to vote on proposed church officers, the endowment bylaw change, and the 2023-2024 budget. The annual report is also available on our website and through the Bell Notes, and a few printed copies are available somewhere here in the building. I'll help you go find them in the office if you need one. Please remember to visit our website and social media and check your Bell Notes for all the details and any Zoom links you may need. And one last announcement, as some of you already know, since our beloved Helen Lane died, Amy Chikala and Tony Chikala have been fostering her 15-year-old cat, Marco. But they cannot keep him indefinitely. If you have room in your home and in your heart for a sassy, fluffy, elder orange cat, please let the Chikalas know. I find Marco delightful. He cannot live in my home either, so I understand if he can't live in yours. But if you know someone looking for a delightful old cat, please let, oh. What? You did, oh, yay! Okay. It might be Ed and Leslie who get to take home Marco. Well, that would be lovely. And Marco already knows an Ed. Thank you. We always extinguish our chalice here with words promising to carry its flame in our hearts until we are together again, no matter how long it is until we are all together again. Please join me from home or here in the building in saying those words written by you minister, Reverend Elizabeth Sally Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. I do want to thank our wonderful First Parish players as well for the music today before I offer our benediction. Thank you all so much. It's so wonderful to have you offer music to the community. And please take these words adapted from 8th century Indian Buddhist monk Shantideva with you as a benediction. May we become at all times, both now and forever, protectors of those without protection, guides for those who have lost their way, ships for those with oceans to cross, bridges for those with rivers to cross, sanctuaries for those in danger and lamps for those without light, places of refuge for those who lack shelter, and servants to all in need. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then may we too abide to dispel the misery of the world. Our service begins when our service ends. Blessed be, and amen.
So we're going to end with a sort of rollicking number here that we expect a little audience participation in. So it's called Let the Good Times Roll. So when I sing Let the Good Times Roll, I want to hear it from you. Repeat it back to me. Is there anything else? All right, sure. everybody, let's have some fun. You only live but once, but when you're dead, you're done. So let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. I don't care if you're young or old. Get together, let the good times roll. Don't sit there mumbling, talking trash. If you wanna have a ball, you gotta spend some cash. So let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. I don't care if you're young or old. Go out together, let the good times roll. Hey, Mr. Landlord, lock up all the doors. When the police come around, just tell them the joint is closed. Let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. I don't care if you're young or old. Get up and get together, let the good times roll. Everybody, tell everybody that Dr. Dave is in town. I got $1.25, ran her into clown, but don't let nobody play me cheap. I got 50 cents more that I'm gonna keep. And let the good times roll. And let the good times roll. They don't care if you're young or old. Let's get together, let the good times roll. 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 I don't care if you're young or old. Let's get together, let the good times roll. One more time, good times roll. Let the good times roll.